Welcome back, everybody, to the Electronic Age. I'm your host, Adrian Sea, and on today's episode, we have my very special guest, the entire crew from UpFront in the building. So we got the creator and founder of UpFront, Boogs, in the building. Brandon, what's up?
To be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We also have Just Nick, or my boy Nick, in the building. How you doing, man? Fantastic. And of course, we cannot forget Nati as well, man. It's great to see you here and have you on the pod. Of course. Cool. Of course. So for the audience that doesn't know out there, UpFront is one of, honestly, I think now becoming one of the largest promoters in Colorado. You guys are growing, and I see the events spreading and becoming larger and larger every time I see some videos, any type of promotion, and it's really exciting. But it all began from Miami, if that's correct, right? Now, this all started with you, Brandon, is that right?
It did.
So how did UpFront begin, and what, if you were to describe it to the audience, what would you say it is?
So UpFront began, 2-3 years ago with myself living in Fort Lauderdale, looking for a way out of the monotonous, random tech house music that gets played every day. No shade against tech house. It's great. That's where I started my musical journey back in the day as well. But UpFront is a way for us to bring new music and different sounds to the music community in South Florida. And that's really why it started. It started up in Fort Lauderdale. I moved down to Miami from there. And when I moved down to Miami, from a random Facebook group chat, I met Nick, and he moved in. Had no idea about house music. Honestly, when I asked him if he knew what house music was, he thought I meant dubstep and bass music. And I was like, man, you got a lot to learn. And he did. He learned it very quick from my first show that he came to on South Beach. And he got to hear, some good Afro house, some indie dance. And then I brought him out to... who was it?
Sebastian Ledger. Modular set.
A modular set at the Ground at Space. And then from there, it was just like a kind of a switch hit. He was in, he was hooked. And that's really where it began. I was throwing shows at the Attic and just one of the random spots in Wynwood. I don't really do much there anymore, but it was a good start. And then from there, it fell off a little bit until really Nick picked it up, found space, found all the other shows. And once he actually ended up moving back to Denver, I was like, you know what? We're going to pick this up here in Miami a lot. Let's bring this to Denver. Let's get you on board, and let's build something. Let's build something special. Have the pipeline from Miami to Denver be just really something thick, strong that people can relate to. Because there is a lot of movement from people that we know from college, from growing up, or people that we're just meeting here in Miami that do travel back and forth a lot. And the people that know each other, that saying it's a small world, it is really true, but you don't really know how small it is until you join into the music community. And that's really where it started, and it has just progressed exponentially from there.
I love to hear that, man. And you can see the growth, especially when it comes down to Colorado. Miami as well, from the small beginnings, just throwing those rooftop shows to now some of the biggest stages, and even partnering with Live Nation at some point with that one advertisement I saw you guys did with Black Coffee, which I thought was insane, which we'll touch on later. Mm-hmm. So Nick, we moved on to Colorado, and when you got there, what happened? I know when I spoke with you pre-move, you're like, dude, this is a big change, but fuck it. I think I'm just going to send it to Colorado. So what was going on in your mind?
Yeah, man. I mean, I originally moved because I was in the Army. So I had moved back to Denver, and I was there. I was with my girlfriend. I wasn't happy, just like the classic story. And so I kind of woke up one day and was just like, I got to make changes. I had my pilot's license. I was going to school to get my commercial pilot's license, until I woke up and realized fuck, after 10,000 hours, you're just kind of a glorified Uber driver. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be a lawyer before that. So I was a paralegal in the Army. Both of those are the highest rates of alcoholics there is. So I'm I don't want to be an alcoholic. I don't want that job. So I moved out to Miami, didn't know a soul. Like we said, met Brandon on a Facebook group. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door, just kind of trying to find my footing. And when Brandon introduced me to the music, it just clicked. I mean, moving here, I was lonely. I had faced and dealt with my depression through that time. I was working a heavy-duty job in real estate. I was in it. And I walked into space the first time. Sebastian Ledger modular, right? And like just like walking in, and I was sober. I didn't have a drink that day, anything. I just walked in, and like just like the positivity that I felt in my body, the community looking around, catching my first groove, like finding out that I love to dance, as like goofy as it is, like, man, I'm out there. You know what I mean? I love it to death. And so that's what it is Brandon just like through the way, and I met you, right? And so I meet all these cool people, and just like everybody with a story, people who want to know my story, who value the better parts of my personality. It all came out and mixed with the music. And so I took that into Denver. I'd done my time in Miami. I washed the army off of me. I washed all the lame. You know what I mean? I dealt with all of it. And so I wanted to go back to Denver and regroup. And my original plan was to travel.
Okay.
I really just wanted to chase music festivals. I found my passion. So I'm like, okay, what is that? So anyways, I get there, but on the ride there, because we had the conversation of joining UpFront, like kind of right at the end of moving there is where Brandon like came to me, and I'll never forget it because Brandon came to me, he's like, well, like, do you want to run UpFront with me? And I went, I've been waiting for you to ask that. Thank you. Yes, I do. Yes, I'd like to. But I think right then and there as well, I was also like, Nati has to come on with us. And like Brandon had a couple times to spend with Nati, like I called Nati one day. He'd just come back from a trip to Hawaii. And I was like, we have to go to space. We're going to do this thing. Like, it's going to change our lives. Like, it's different. Just come, trust me. Made him book the flight right on there. $70 Spirit.
You know it. No shame.
Showed up, went to space. Adam Port was Nati's first. That was sick. I'll let him tell about that. But so anyways, and I know Nati, you know what I mean? And I knew Brandon as our time living together, like, you know what I mean? We grew and really grew a great friendship and like really fucking, just connected and became brothers. And Nati's my brother since before, really. So I moved back into Denver, and on the ride there, I called him and I said, our lives are going to be different. It's like when we get down there, everything is going to change. Like, mark my words, mark this conversation. And so I pull up, and the first thing we do is we go to an outdoor show, and our friends Co-Factor, Matty G, Mayo are playing, who both of you guys know, right? And know way back from your past. And so we go and meet them and begin a really great relationship. And so we go out all the time. There's a great club scene there. We can talk more about that later for sure. We'll talk more about Colorado clubs and what they have there. But just in general, the Colorado and the underground scene is like, it's there and it's thriving, and it was incredible. So we go out and we just, we're passionate about it. So we're at every show that matters. The originals were like Mason Collective, Leighton Giordani. We saw, oh man, I'm just trying to think of in the original. Chase West was a great one. Archie was a great show. So all those great like minimal tech names that are coming, and that's brought by Brennan, aka Option 4, who also, when we talk about the clubs, he's just booking incredible music. And so we loved it, built great relationships, and it came time for our first party, and this is where Nati came in. And Nati, through his, I'll let you tell the relationship, but basically Nati brought to the bridge to us of the Colorado clubs. And so we came to the manager there essentially on our first party and said, like, let us show you what we can do. We had no clue what we could do. We'd never thrown a party in our entire lives, like literally not a single, like nothing, But we said, just in strength, like, please let us show you what we can do. And so on that one, we our friends Co-Factor, they were going to be doing a party, and some things, the venue fell through. And so we said, well, let's do it together. So we did it UpFront and in session together. And it was incredible. We said, all right, so let's do it 10 hours, 3-hour sets each. We'll open with Maddie and Mayo back to back the first 3, and then we'll move that into a solo Boogs set. And that was a chance for Boogs through the sunset, through the thick of the crowd, to show the UpFront sound. And that's really what Boogs and Brandon is to UpFront, among a lot of things. But like, we always say you have your Jamie Jones to Paradise, your BB to Solid Grooves. That's Brandon to UpFront and represents our sound. So that was like the debut of like UpFront, the sound, what we are, who we are. And then we closed it out with Co-Factor and our boy Trey. And it was incredible. And so we did a 400 and like, I think there's like 530 total RSVPs. We did it as a free show.
Wow.
And we just blew it out of the water, and it was incredible. Nobody had done 10-hour parties, 3-hour sets. Everybody was like, what are you doing? Like, we were just like, I don't know. We love Miami. We party in Miami for 10 hours all the time. Like, what do you mean we can't just do that here? And so we just did, and all of it was just like in blind confidence in the music. All we knew going into that, there was a very simple objective, and it was let these people hear the music. Nobody around here is playing Afro. It's not, Afro, indie dance, melodic house, even any of that. It's just not prevalent in Colorado. There's a great organic scene. There's a great tech house and minimal tech scene. And of course, the bass capital of the world.
Huge.
Yeah, right. We know that. But also, there's a thriving scene out there for it. And so people heard Brandon and just like, it was instant following. Let's give a special shout out to Lais, because Lais saw that first one, and Lais is incredible. Brandon played a Maz track, and Lais was Brazilian, and just immediately was like nobody's ever played this here, and just like since that day has just like been in the crew, and that's what we did really, is that like we built meaningful connections and friendships through the music wholeheartedly, and like things we pay special attention to are just like safety, inclusiveness, right? Like we know what house music is. It's house music is come one, come all, but come correct, right? Like know where it came from. This is black and gay music that started in Chicago. That's what it'll always be. You know what I mean? So it's very important to us, and we always do intentional parties, and we're intentional when we're building our network and our friendships and making sure that we keep good people around us and there's no weirdos, and that everybody can handle and have a good time, and that also we're there because we're just music lovers.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the connection point, because I feel, Nati, this was like a big point where you came in, right? So when you were hanging onto the wing of the Spirit plane flying into Miami.
That's accurate.
Yeah, coming to Miami. I understood that you hadn't really been introduced to house just yet, right? Like it was all foreign to you.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you for the first time, and I'm like, we're going to a place you've never been. We're going to space, and we're going to introduce you to this music, and I need you to understand we're going to be there for hours. Like we're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
And you were so gung-ho about it. You're like, let's ride. And I'm like, all right, that's the spirit. So how did that evolve to where you ended up making these connections into Colorado?
Yeah, so like Nick said, he convinced me to fly out there to Miami. It was really interesting because I just come off from a vacation, actually. Didn't even have that much money in my bank account, honestly. Like, I was like, what are you talking about, Miami? I'm not going to Miami right now. But he just kept on hounding me. I come out there, like you said, Adamport at Space. I mean, it was incredible. Obviously, like the first hour, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, it just sounds. I don't know what's going on. Like, especially coming from like, the bass capital of the world, Denver. There's no differentiation in my mind. EDM is EDM. I'm like, whatever. I don't know.
All the same.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll go check it out for my boy because he wants me to check it out. I'll go see it for him. But few hours in, I remember I was like, okay, all right, here we go. Like I start grooving a little bit, start dancing. And then he's telling me we're going to stay till sunrise. And I was like, what are you talking about? it's like 5 a.m. What do you mean sunrise? Sunrise is like 7:30. We're not staying here that long. Next thing I know, the sun is out. I missed the sunrise. I was in it. I was dancing. I was grooving.
You're marinating.
I had no idea. Next thing I know, it's 10 a.m. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, bet. Like, this is cool. This is cool. We went to Space Park, checked out a whole bunch of shows. But from there, when we went to Denver, I remember I had a relative that was actually connected to the club scene and had done a lot of shows, especially in the early 2000s. So honestly, it just came from like curiosity. We didn't know what we were doing necessarily. So I hit him up just to see if he had any, advice, any recommendations. And he connected us with Tully. And Tully is the manager at Co-Clubs. So he runs a whole bunch of the clubs down there on Broadway. And, like Nick said, we kind of just told him like, yo, let us show you what we can do. We didn't really have anything to back it up at that point. So we're not here making all these demands or anything like that. So we're just really trying to show him how much this means to us and, what we can bring to the community. And after that first party blew up, I mean, it's not like the world was our oyster necessarily, but we had a little bit of backing to us and we could actually prove, the concept. So from there, I mean, it's definitely been an uphill battle in Denver, bass capital of the world. Like I said, again, tech house dominates out there, minimal dominates out there. I mean, we love those guys. We love that music still, but it's definitely a different sound that we're trying to bring to the city. And so through these past months, I mean, it's been crazy. It's honestly been crazy. I mean, we don't have the biggest crowd in Denver. It may seem like it, or it might look like it from the outside looking in, but what it really is just like dedicated fans of this music. You know what I mean? Like, I can point out 10 to 20 people that are at every single show dancing up front. not to plug right there, but
He said the name of the movie in the movie.
there it is. But yeah, dude, I mean, it really boils down to like those 10 or 20 people that were with us from the beginning fell in love and just keep on dancing. You know what I mean? That's kind of the heart of this company.
I love that. And you can see it in the soul in the way that you guys are throwing these events, right? You're bringing the essence of Miami to Colorado and really just changing the game there, because it's unheard of, which is surprising, right? When I think Colorado, I think Wooks, bass music. It's just the truth, right? You think snowboarding, but you don't really think tribal. It's snowy, right? It's freaking like -5 sometimes. So you don't think tribal, and it's great to see it coming to fruition. Now, Brandon, when this all started blowing up, what was going on in your head where you were like, holy shit, this is actually catching fire? The brand is coming to life in Colorado. And what were your thoughts on that, and where did you see the direction going?
Yeah, honestly, it caught on in Colorado a lot quicker than I was expecting. I mean, the passion, the dedication that these two have to the music, especially with being in this scene and hearing the sound in such a short amount of time, it's unreal. And just the love that they put into it, seeing it from outside, because I'm still here in Miami. I don't live in Denver. So I know we had our parties here in Miami. We're doing well. We're having fun, and we have big crowds. But then, they go out, they are on the ground marketing, pushing these shows like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, we have a great community here in Miami, and, we put on a party, people come, they know the music, people understand it, and they want to come and dance. There's a dedicated crowd. And they literally went out there and turned people who only like bass house or only like tech house or maybe even only like rap, and they convinced them that this slower melodic type of music can put you in a mindset where you're just dancing. Next thing you know, just like he didn't even realize he passed the sunrise, they're going from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. And it's just like that. And so from the outside looking in, it fills my heart with so much joy that these guys are able to do what they did, and it's still going. And I've been lucky enough to, one, know them and be a part of this with them in Denver. And I go out there at least once a month for some of these parties. I play. I've been able to put my name out there so people know who I am with these guys. And so it's us three now out there. And it's so unreal. It's so amazing to see everything that's happened, and it's just been so fast. And so really going from that first party with, we had 400 people plus, and it was a free RSVP, to another next party, let's say we had 50 people. It died down a little bit. But then next thing you know, 2 months later, it's like, all right, we're at one of the biggest clubs, the most poppin' venues in Colorado, and people who don't know us are just seeing us on Instagram or social media, seeing other people who repost stories, word of mouth, and it really spreads. So just being us, our people, personalities, and just being true to the music, the love of the game, and just honestly just having fun, not taking things too seriously, just really enjoying the music, what we do, and meeting people are attracted to that. The vibes you get is exactly the vibes that you're putting out. And so I'm a big proponent of that, of just putting out good energy, because it will come back. Karma's real, and that's exactly what has happened. We put out nothing but good energy, and these guys just attract nothing but the best. And it, in turn, helps us even here in Miami. People, Nick was my roommate here in Miami for a year. Nathi's came several times and is known by the whole friend group, the whole community out here. And people see this on Instagram. They see it on social media, the Snapchats or whatever. And we have our parties. They're like, what the hell are you guys doing in Denver? What the fuck? You guys just did a show with Luca Lessi. You guys just had Nico De Andrea, and it was popping. How the hell do you do it? By perseverance, dedication, and for the goddamn love of the game, for the fucking music.
For the love of the game.
The love of the fucking game.
For the love of the game.
But no,
sure.
seriously, the music, at the end of the day, if the sound that you're putting out is good, specifically from the speakers themselves, and then the music that you're playing is good, it doesn't matter if you have 20 people on a dance floor or 500 people on a dance floor. The vibes will be the same, and the energy will be the same. And that's all I could care about. And I know these guys are the same, that if the music's good and people are happy and they're enjoying themselves, that's all that matters.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned the essence, the vibes that you put out, right? You're being very straightforward with what your intention is.
Some would say upfront.
Exactly. So we're mentioning the movie name again. Here it comes. Because where did the name UpFront come from, and how did you come up with it?
So a little crazy story is UpFront was an idea I had in college with a buddy of mine. And, that's when I first started DJing. I went to Ibiza one summer. I came back and I was like, I want to do that. And that's what I did. So I started out there, and we wanted to put on this little production company doing shows. Nothing ever came to fruition. Not a single thing. But the idea was there. We created the LLC, and it's like, that whole saying, especially that you always tell me, like, let's build a bar. You never build a bar.
Yeah.
And so that was that. And then it kind of fell off. I moved down south. We had a couple ideas here and there, and then I was like, you know what, like this is a thing. Like, there is a need for different types of music. There is a need for a sense of community, because where I started off in the Fort Lauderdale scene, there really wasn't much. It's grown now since, but it was a niche in the market that I really felt passionate about. And so what was I going to do? We had the name UpFront, and I was like, well, it is true to today. Whenever I'm at a show with friends or by myself, I want to be upfront. In business, within personal relationships as well, you want to be upfront, you want to be honest and true to your word. So taking that, running with it, building a brand around it, a whole identity, and it just kind of grew. It was a slow start at first. Like I said, going back a couple minutes ago, Nick and I moved in off of a damn Facebook post, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, never knowing each other, like it's insane. And then from there, it just, our beliefs and who we are so similar, and same with Nati. That's a big reason why he's here today as well, is because we are such similar people. We all come from different backgrounds. We're different in that regard, but at the same time, it's like who we are to our core, like the beliefs we have, how we want to treat people, how we want to be treated, and how we just go about our daily lives is so similar. Our values are so strong that we come together and create something special, and it's impossible for something special not to happen when you have the passion and just the feelings that we have all together. It just grows exponentially.
Love that.
That's what we're trying to tell our dance floor, and that's what it is. It's all backed by the music. And like Brandon said, when the music is the best, and that's what we focus on when we're building a party. It's the number one thing first, is we look at lineup first, and we say, who do we want to bring? Where do we want to put them? For why? What are they going to play? You know what I mean? And really, from headliner to support. And it's so intentional, because it's just very clear that when the music is the best, everyone's spirits are elevated. That's when the dance floor is open, when people are really dancing, they're meeting each other. And that's what we see on our dance floors. And like, that's what Brandon said. And that's been kind of the beauty. One of the cool things to talk about, like the relationship of the three of us, and then how it extends to our dance floors right now, both in Miami and Denver, is that like, Brandon and Nati and I spent a lot of time together. We go back to high school. We worked at Best Buy together, right? Like, we got stories, okay? We got stories, all right? You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious. And then Brandon and I really only spend a year together, but like in that year, again, when your morals as a person are just so crystal clear and aligned, and who you are and what you are in a good way, it just attracts it, right? And it's about just like kind of, I don't know, bridging the gap and giving the time. And what's cool is that, so like I said, we've spent years knowing each other. We spent a year. He came a couple of times, and like just the way that we all formed together and found love. And now it's expanding to our dance floors. Our friends from Miami are making constant trips to Denver and vice versa. And it's all kind of becoming this community, and it's all centered around good tunes, intentional music. That's what it all is. I mean, Afro house, indie dance, these things, when and where and why we play it, and who's playing it, and what it does, and what happens when you open up and listen to it. And like we've talked about it, it's been an uphill battle. Like, it's not welcomed with kind of open arms. And like, I think there's a few reasons for that, especially when you talk about Afro house. I think in general, the theme around it is, people, it's Burning Man, it's Tulum, it's outdoor, it's I want to vibe to it kind of music. You know what I mean? They don't think about it as like, this is club music. And you almost kind of alluded to that in the sense of like, you're saying like, you don't think of Denver as like jungle vibes,
Exactly.
It does. The club's all the same. It's dark inside. You know what I mean? Like,
Amen.
it's club music, Then when you go to Afro house as well, like, I mean, I think there's a larger conversation to be had with racism and just like straight up saying like Afro and house and the Black Association. You know, I'll bring up the example of, I think maybe if you've seen it on TikTok, but there's somebody who made a song. It was like The Sounds of Africa. And it was just like the most, just like disrespectful shit you've ever seen. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of playing and joking on that. So there's this whole thing against it. And so when we bring it to people, and even the most like, I listen to everything, I have an open mind, you know, I go to at least 6 different types of jam bands and 2 different dubstep and 1 tech house concert per year. You know, I listen to it all, and you're like, come listen to Afro House. And they're just so, even people like we've seen it take, like, it takes time. Like, you have to introduce and almost educate the crowd. And so that's something we're trying to figure out how to do on scale, you know, and that's where we're at now. And like we said, we don't have the biggest dance floors in Colorado. You know, we're not even above and in the main promoters. You know, we're building something solid and consistent, no matter how long it takes. You know, something we haven't mentioned is like, you know, one of the things that brings us together, allows us to do business together so beautifully as well, is that like we're truly not driven by the money. Like, there's money, you know, what we realize is you need to make money to grow, to get right. You need to show more people. You need to, of course, right? There's a give and an exchange. You got to pay people, and we want to always pay our DJs, right? And everybody involved fairly on time. That's one of our commitments that we've made, is that like when a DJ finishes their set, they get Zelled right after.
Oh,
we
big.
don't wait for the club to send us money, and then, you know, because that's not their problem. And in the same way too, we've talked about this, you know, we don't expect our DJs to be promoters. Hey, don't post this every single day for the next week. You know, make a post on yours and do stories. You know, we'll tag them off the UpFront account. The only thing we say is put the sticker over so they can click the link. You know, we're not too worried about that. And the social media approach in general either, is that like we're just focused on making good connections with people and letting them know, again, that we have a safe dance floor that's going to show you new, cool music that means something. It's going to get you dancing and feeling in a different way. You know, and we've seen the way that people go and make new friends with each other. Us examples of it, crossing states and cities and backgrounds, whatever it is, it's all just united through the music.
Nice. So that unity is incredibly important, and I think that's what's essentially building the foundation of your brand currently, and it's powerful. But of course, with these things, you've got to build the right connections. And Nati, I know that you have, I think, a talent that you didn't understand you had before you came to Miami that is now very much become evident, that you can make a very good connection with someone and expand it. A good example of this is, I remember we were at, I don't know, Solid Grooves or somewhere, Club Space was in the crowd, and Nick's like, oh yeah, like we know him, we booked him. And now
No, we didn't book him. Sorry, we just went to a party in Denver, small community, so we met him. We met him, yeah.
So you met him, right? Nick mentioned that, and Nati's like, oh yeah, I have his number. And I'm like, oh, okay. So how do you go about cultivating these relationships to a point where people feel comfortable with you and like are willing to either do business or just grow the relationship?
I mean, back to your point about me not even knowing I have this so-and-so talent, call it what you want, but it's really just being genuine, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have some kind of ulterior motive where I'm trying to, you know, get someone's contact for something else to stack up into something else. Like, it's really just trying to make friends, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to be cool, trying to have a conversation. I mean, most of the time when I'm talking to any of these guys, it's about the music. It's about the love for the scene. It's about the community. So that's something that resonates with all of us that are in the scene, that are doing these shows, that are playing shows. So it really just comes from a place of just, you know, curiosity and just like friendliness, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm doing anything necessarily special per se. I think it's just that I'm going into it, you know, hard on my sleeve, like just really trying to become a friend. That's it.
Trying to meet him.
Yeah.
Being up front.
Yeah. Being up front. Now, Brandon, for anyone out there listening who maybe wants to start their own, you know, either promoting company or start booking sets and creating, what advice would you give them? Because I know you've been through the thick of it. You've had horrible relationships with promoters and clubs, and you've had phenomenal ones. Any advice you would give to any listeners out there who are just getting started?
To do exactly that, to just get started and do it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you know, you can watch all the videos on YouTube you want. You can spend all the time you want practicing in your room or whatever, but you just got to go out and do it. You know, you want to go play at a club or play even at a small bar or restaurant. walk in there and ask. The worst they can say is no, and then you move on to the next one. Anything is a lot of it is just a numbers game. At the end of the day, you can have 10 no's, but all you need is one yes.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is one person on your dance floor to hear you play a set for you to play at another's place, or for them to bring their friends the next time. And then, 3 shows later, it grows. To make that set, all right, you might be nervous. It's your first mix to put out. Who cares? Just put it out there. Just don't, it's hard. It really is, coming from a very personal place. It's hard to not care about what people think. But over the years, what I've learned is it really doesn't matter. And anyone who doubts you or kind of rags on you or might even not like you for what you're doing, well, then they're just not worth it to be around. Literally just leave everyone that's just negative out of your life and focus on the people that matter, and just do what you want to do. It's consistency at the end of the day as well. Could not work for a month, could not work for 10 years, but who knows? Again, all you need is that one time for something to click and for something good to happen, and it just could just take off.
It takes right off. I love to hear it.
And even being what Nati said, just genuine, wear your heart on your sleeve, and just do as best as you can. Just be yourself.
All right. And Nick, I know when you first came to Miami, you were a bit more on the introverted side, actually. You were nah, I don't really fuck with this person. I'm not really going to be talking to him that much. How do you feel the music industry or just music in general has helped build your confidence and helped you understand who you are better as a person? Because now you're extremely outgoing.
Yeah. I really always have been, honestly. I was never a kid that couldn't go into a store and be make my order or make a phone. You know what I mean? You know how my little brother's a little bit like that. He's kind of the opposite. I've always been pretty strong-headed and hard-willed, but I just had unfulfilled relationships through friendships growing up, through everything that I just always felt I had a lot of love to give and it wasn't reciprocated. And that kind of ended on the head with that relationship I was in. That's what it just came down to, is I gave all the love in the world and I just wasn't getting it back, And so I just had that feeling. And so I kind of I closed up and I was just kind of, I don't know, wallowing through life. I don't know, figuring, just fucking fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know. And so when I got in there and I guess where I grew up and in Aurora, it was just it was diverse. I had a single mom, my mom, who's a fucking tank, but she's a single mom, and I don't know. It was just interesting growing up, and we didn't have money or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I come out to Miami and end up out here, right? And so I start to see that in people around, and then I start to see that these people engage with me. And as I learn the music and can speak confidently and intelligently about it, whether in the beginning I really didn't know, I was just talking from the heart, and that's what it always is. It's just I talked about how it made me feel, and I tagged along. And so because of, again, Brandon for introducing me to it, and then also Brandon is who Brandon is. And anyone who knows Brandon, he's the goofiest, coolest dude you've ever met, right? And he just, as this roommate, this random dude we met on Facebook, took me along to everything and made me included. You know what I mean? And so everybody answered to that as well. And I talk about it with you, Adrian, you're the most suave, cool dude. You know what I mean? I know. And also a fellow goofy ass dancer. Okay. But you get out there and I meet Adrian, right? You're the coolest dude. And you open and welcome me open arms, and everybody in the beginning of me learning the music was so excited to show it. Wait till you see this and this and this. And then we do our first music week and on. And it all just kind of comes together. And so really, as I was able to shed away the worst parts of me and let the best of me shine, I was able to share that. And really, all I think I represent is the love given to me, as I'm just reciprocating it back out. And that's all it is. I have a beautiful mutual relationship with everybody. When we have a conversation, I'm listening to what you're saying. I care. You know what I mean? So to others, to me, it's important. And again, we're just united through that music. And so being able to take who I am, my background, my knowledge in business, being able to take the emotional man that I am and combine that and bring it into this music and just, be guided by making friendships and honestly just having fun. Our parties, we always say we throw parties that we want to go to. Yeah. And we do. So we go to our parties and then we have fun, We're just having fun.
That's what it's about. So not the first relationship that really helped blow this up for you in Colorado was that relationship with your uncle, right? Or your cousin.
Yeah.
Right. And that allowed you to get into these clubs and go further into bookings into different areas. Now that that's been established, where do you feel that you can make the next connection to continue expanding UpFront's presence?
Good question. We've been looking at some expansion cities. Not to name any right now, but it's kind of the same thing. Just going in with an open mind, trying to meet as many people as possible, and trying to make connections. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people try to complicate these things. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that takes a whole lot of effort, if you're being genuine, if you're just being yourself and being goofy like we all are, you know what I mean? Going on the dance floor, having a good time. Like, that's what stands out, you know what I mean? Like, we're not in the club on our phones fucking, in the back corner of the fucking dance floor trying to be cool, you know what I mean? Like, we're there to have a good time. We're there for the music, and people who think the same way are going to find each other that same way, you know what I mean? Like, some of the best connections I've made have been literally on the dance floor. Like, just grooving, accidentally bump into somebody. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, I'm good. Where are you from? Oh, this. And it just snowballs from there. You know what I mean? Like, it just comes from a good place, so it's going to go to a good place. That's the best way to put it, I guess.
All right. I love that. And Brandon, do you agree with, like, that's where you see the direction, also just continuing that mindset of genuine, staying true to who you are and trying to expand that into, like, a new market? Is that where you see UpFront continuing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just being us, doing what we do, and just trying to have fun, trying to spread the word of the music, trying to spread just good vibes. Honestly, at the end of the day, just want to have fun, spread good music, and bring the sounds that we like to hear to other people, whether that's on the East Coast, the West Coast, South America, Europe, who knows? I mean, the world, at this point, I feel like we can say the world is our oyster. No matter what we do now, it will amount to something that will happen next year. I don't know what that will be, but it's, as long as we stay optimistic and positive and honestly have a good attitude, it'll grow. And like he was saying, some of the best relationships we've made are on the dance floor. I don't know exactly where it was, but it sounds like, a couple of our good friends, Peace Control, who are blowing up right now, that relationship was made on a dance floor, just talking about music, understanding where each other's minds are within sound. And it's like, oh, well, I made this track here. Check this out. All right. Okay. Next thing you know, a couple months later, Con Music's playing their track Peru around the fucking world.
Damn.
And it's crazy how, like you said, those relationships can blossom, and you never know who you're going to meet. Who you're going to meet today could be the next, like, superstar over here. Who you meet today could be the next, like, financier for a branch of a company. Like, you just never know who you're going to meet. And also, you never know who knows who. You meet someone here, over there. It's like, oh, you guys are awesome. I love your vibe. Become friends with them. Introduce you to someone who could become your best friend the next day. I mean, just open, positive mindset. And I can't tell you how far that'll go.
Wow. No, it's very true. And it's big. It's basically like a domino effect, right? Like, you meet one person, it just bang, leads into the next, and it continues forward. Now, Nick, I know that you started DJing yourself as well.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did that begin, and what inspired you to twist some knobs on the deck?
Well, I mean, again, none of this comes. What now? We're now 2 or 3 years in. When do we live together? I don't know. I'm not good with time.
It's been
it's a couple of years. It's a short time.
Yeah.
Little time. Not big time. Brandon, he had the CDJ 3000s, the Zone 96, and the DJM 900. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just learn on the best, no problem. Like, lucky me. So, like, we had a badass apartment. We were on the 31st floor with the ocean. So I would just sit there, and initially, like, there's like a progression through music that we've learned, and that's what I mean by, like, educating people I was saying earlier. But, like, initially when I found the music, even though I started with the Sebastian Ledger, then I went to a couple John Summit shows, found the Tech House. I played, like, Dirty Fucking Cocore in the you know that song, it's the Sosa track. I played that on the CDJs on the Zone 96 in the kitchen, and I was like, nah, man, this is like next level music. You don't understand. You just don't get it. But, like, so I went from there, progressed. That was nothing serious to me. Like, it was fun to learn, and it was cool. But as I had these progressions and learning and feeling and understanding the music more, when I moved out to Denver, really what it was is, as we started throwing the parties, like, we hadn't seen people playing our type of music, and Brandon can't come out for every single one. And so, like, I wanted to play, and I started to get better, and it was cool. It's just like a hobby. It's a cool expression. My sets, like, when I'm playing, like, I'm saying something, You know what I mean? And it's just a cool, and I never thought I was a creative person before meeting Brandon, before doing all this. I would have told you point blank, like, nah, I'm just not a creative person. I'm good at getting shit done. Like, I can figure shit out. You know what I mean? I got the figure it the fuck out gene, like, on lock, but like, I'm not a creative person. Now that's different. I am. I just found the right outlet. So it's cool. Honestly though, I'm good now. I found all the residents. I've had fun playing. I've done, Nati and I have done our back-to-back series. It's been fun. We played a couple great shows together. Alex Wind and I, our Wind is one of our residents for UpFront, playing indie dance for us in Denver. We've done a back-to-back. So like, that's what it is. It's been fun. I like doing it, I got good, right? I got pretty good. I got better, and I was playing cool music, and so I had a little following there, and like, we were having fun at the shows. But July 6th at Larimer Lounge, I'm gonna headline it thanks to the Backdoor Session boys. They're Ben and Javi out there, Ian, Sean. They're good. There's so many. That's the cool thing about Denver as well, is that like, there really are a lot of these collectives and a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. And it's cool. And now what we're finding is more cohesion, and we're trying to do that, bridging the gap and doing different parties with people, different collectives, and just in combining and, seeing where we can. And again, building a real community and being hugely inclusive. And so like, and that's cool with them. So like, anyways, that July 6th, that'll be the last time that I spin like in Denver or anything really. Like, my whole heart is in event production. Like, I love it. When showtime comes, something flips in my brain and I just see with clarity. I know exactly where everything needs to be.
Fucking Rain Man.
No, man.
That's it.
We said this, but
you said it, not us.
hey,
someone
no,
else
for sure. I got it. It's on lock, and that's in parts of the ADHD. Like, it's a hyper focus. I'm on it, and crunch time, I do well under pressure. Everything up till then, I'm like, what day is it? Whatever. Where's my wallet? But as far as my DJ career, the cool thing is so like we talked about, I think it's cool to shout out the Peace Control boys, Nick and Ryan. Like, so I met them at Temple nightclub there, and we just meet backstage by chance. I meet with Ryan, and we start talking about music, and obviously I bring up front we're Afro House, kind music. Oh yeah, man, I have this track. You got to listen to this track. And so next day he sends me Peru, and I'm like, dude, holy shit. I was like, this is different. Like, this is it. This is it right here, off rip. And so I played a show as just Nick at Larimer Lounge, the outside little area. So that's where it started, and that's where it's going to end. Okay, it's like a circle. I believe in the full circle. So that's where. But I played Peru, and I played it, and then I uploaded my mix to SoundCloud, and Ryan hit me up, and then after Kind Music played it. So for the record, besides Peace Control, for the record, I was the first one to play. Okay. No, I believed in that. I loved it. And then Kind Music played it, and Ryan hit me up and was like, you gotta delete your mix. People are taking it off of there. And I was like, oh no shit. Like, so I hit it because I was like, well, one day this track's gonna come out and I can put it back out. So I did, and I just think it's funny, and it's been incredible to watch the growth from them, and it just shows like quality persists. They made a great track. They've followed it up with great tracks. Their sets are great. Everything they've been doing, I'm grateful. They, Brandon really what led to our party throwing, because originally we talked about doing a media company. If you look at the UpFront TikTok right now, it's a bunch of parties. Because we were like, oh, we'll get media passes and be able to travel and go to the parties. We didn't have confidence in our ability to throw parties, but Brandon really set sail on our first party. That's funny. I really didn't mean that.
Jesus Christ,
our first
man.
boat party, and kind of showed us what it looks like to bring. And it was 50 people on a catamaran. And he really kind of showed us how you put the pieces together. On our first one, you were there. It was great. And we walked away, and it was love. It was 50 of us, and everybody will remember that boat party for the rest of their lives.
Damn good time.
It was so good. And so we followed it up again this year, and it was awesome to have Peace Control headline it as well. And like, it was cool because they played like 5 shows in Music Week that week, and each set was better than the next. We've seen them now. We went to Knockdown and watched them before Francis Mercier in New York. They just played the Mirage. Like, they're making good music. Love those boys. Like, they're the best. They're the best, for sure. It's cool. And like having and watching that and watching them grow, and us have grown as well. And like, we're always talking and chatting, and just like, it's just incredible to see. And it's just like the first marker of that relationship and how that can happen. And that's where I think all of us agree, and where we hope to see UpFront go, is that like, we want to find and identify within the U.S. and at least bringing to the U.S. the producers at that level. There's so many that we could name off that are just like really ready to be there, and they just need to be in front of the right crowds. And the way that those artists could come in and get in front of the right crowd, and they're actually going to follow them, look them up on SoundCloud and Spotify after, follow them and build into it. This leads into like Brennan, Option 4, that's his DJ name, but Brennan of Colorado Clubs, who he really brought house music to Denver. That's like his stamp, is that he started,
So who is this guy? For the audience, they're like, you keep mentioning his name.
Yeah, so Brennan is now a promoter and a DJ, producer as well. He's on tour actually right now. He's started making music again. I think he's really excited about that, and it's cool to see. I can't wait. He's doing his show at 11:34. But Colorado Clubs is the main kind of club system through Colorado, and so they're all kind of in one section. You have the church, which is literally a big old church, massive void sound system in it. It's awesome. Then you have 1134 Broadway. That's like the dedicated house and techno project, and we call it like Speakeasy Space essentially, but it's long hallway, wood floor, no lighting, no nothing, massive Danley system, great sound. You know, and it's Brennan that's booking there. And then you have Vinyl down the street as well. And those are kind of the main for house and techno. You have Bar Standard with like Steam. That's a curated event by Brennan every Thursday. And so like Beltran did his US debut there.
Wow.
Which was cool. And, you know, we saw Coulter there. He did hit, not his US debut, but all that. And that's been running for years. So like Brennan is really been our bridge in, and has lifted and supported us. And I mean, he's got an eye for good talent, you know, not to too much, but like, you know, no. And so like all this has been, you know, in the parties that we're doing with the hundreds and co-clubs, and the hotline has all been possible through him. And we've learned so much through it. And so, you know, that's how he made his name, is that he would rotate these artists through and found them. You know, he'll tell the story about how like he booked Rufus Du Sol in the US before anybody, like way on, and grew with them. So he has all sorts of cool stories like that. Like he's a gangster for sure.
Been a great mentor, honestly. He's shown us a lot just in this past couple months, honestly. We're really excited to keep working with him. I mean, you brought up the Live Nation opportunity that we had to help promote.
Tell me about that. How did that come to fruition? Like, what's the background?
Yeah, so Live Nation event at Red Rocks. It was, I think, the first time Afro House has been played at Red Rocks, if I'm not mistaken.
Black Coffee, so this is like a huge freaking deal.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And you know, they presented us with this opportunity to just kind of help them sell some tickets, promote the show a little bit. I mean, we weren't necessarily, you know, behind the show per se, but as far as like helping move tickets and everything, yeah. So we did the promotion on our page, which was really cool, gave us a lot of exposure. But this is kind of just like another step that we've been taking with the Co-Clubs team and the Live Nation team. That's really become family for us at this point, man. They have really helped us a lot.
Wow, that's huge. And Brandon, did you ever envision this, like a Live Nation, even if it's just to sell tickets? Like, it's kind of cool to see your name next to Live Nation, you know?
Very cool. Very cool. You know, a lot of this stuff, it's not something I could have imagined a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, how long. But again, it just comes back to what we're doing things for, why we're doing things, which is for the right reasons. And if you do things for the right reasons with the right people, the best opportunities can come.
It's great. And I want to ask you, how do you feel this has improved your DJing? Because I've seen you from years back to today, right? And your tribal house is like on another level.
Lisan Al Gaib.
Yeah.
The best. My
chosen one.
Our favorite
DJs. The Rain Man,
so.
you're becoming the Dune.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. Thank you. That does mean a lot. I mean, especially from you guys. You guys have been, especially you, Adrian, have been with me for like, I don't know how many years, since the fucking beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah, just from, you know, everything from little things, from small transitions to how to read a crowd, to my stage presence, to having fun up there. I mean, everything over the years has progressed so much, and being able to throw these parties, you know, it's a way for me to be able to play and get opportunities to play in front of crowds and before solid, you know, big names. But also it's a way for me to express myself, my feelings, and to bring good music to people who otherwise would never have expected it. I mean, who was it, Frankie Knuckles, that said a good DJ plays music you didn't know you want to hear. So all these people come into these shows with preconceived notions like, oh, this isn't Afro house, indie dance, like, you know, just give me some boots and cats and I'll be good for the night. But that's not what I'm getting here. It's no, damn right you're not getting that. I'm going to give you something that is close to my heart and how I feel. And then from the other end is I'm going to read the crowd. How am I going to build it up? And so, you know, it's a way to express and to feed into other people's emotions. You know, I always say that I can make a couple fall in love on the dance floor. And I swear I've seen it happen. I've seen people, I mean, honestly, you and your girlfriend, you and Becky, I've seen you guys just like having the time, just looking into each other's eyes, like experiencing some kind of, you know, emotions that who knows, like maybe it was this song, maybe it was how I transitioned. I don't know. Maybe it had nothing to do with me, but just the fact that I saw it, you know, it brought a lot of love and happiness into my heart seeing that. And so being able to give people the opportunity to hear this kind of music and experience something they wouldn't have otherwise is very special. So over the years that has grown and I don't see that stopping. I want to be able to bring that experience, bring that emotional aspect of music to other people. It's hard. I mean, a lot of people just, you know, if you're reading the room wrong, you know, maybe they want it to go up a little heavier, then you drop it down a little and everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? Or vice versa. Like everyone's like, all right, they need a break. You've been going at it for like, you know, 20 minutes and just like give it a nice little melodic break into like a solid buildup. But it just people can get burnt out. Then you lose the crowd and then it's hard to keep them on the hook. And
It really is.
we always say that, you know, everyone only puts out, like not everyone, but a lot of other collectives will book artists and they only give them an hour set. Well, how are you going to play like maybe 10 songs, if that? Like you got to give people an opportunity to really get into their bag, to express themselves, to feed into the energy of the crowd. And that's done by what we do. At the least, we'll give someone an hour and a half set. But 2 hours, 3 hours, hell, 4 hours, like that's a journey, being able to experience the ups and downs of the music, to get into that groove, to be able to, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom, get a drink, take a break, and come right back and just be like, holy shit, like I'm still in it. Like I don't want to leave. Seriously, it's so much fun. It really is, man. And I foresee that just lasting forever.
All right. So quite a lot of movement and then big moments to come, it sounds like, for UpFront and for DJing for your career, you know, as a whole. It's very exciting.
Well, and that's another thing, too, is like you said, for UpFront, for my DJ career, too, I see it as it's more of the same. If the Boogs project takes off, well, so will UpFront. And if UpFront takes off, then I'll give Boogs more opportunities. But none of this isn't possible without the other. And that's another thing is like all of us, we are together. You know, if I say me, if Nick is talking about himself or Nati's talking about himself, I don't have to worry. None of us have to worry because we all know we're talking about us three together.
Yeah, I am Bugs. He is Bugs. He is Bugs.
Yeah,
We are
Bugs.
We are Bugs.
Yeah. Somebody go give me a set of decks. Let's put that to the test.
Test out this theory.
Yeah, not.
So one thing I want to hear from you all is, what would you say is your favorite experience at a show? And, you know, one moment that isn't exactly at a show, but will always stick with me and I remember very clearly, is when Nati, you and I were post Miami Music Week, I think it was, or Art Basel. It was when you first came, actually.
Yeah, maybe Art Basel?
Art Basel, I think. And I think we just got done with Space, and we came back to the apartment just chilling on the couch. The best way I could put it is we were marinated and having a good time. And we were like, hey, let's just have a drink and then like just talk. And we just stayed up the night talking shit.
I don't think I've laughed that hard in a long time, man. We had a good time.
We had a really good time.
Yeah.
So, Nick, what would you say one of your favorite either moments or even shows that you experienced are?
I mean, I have a million.
Exactly.
It could just go on, right? Like, it's incredible. But the first thing that comes to my mind is recently Nati and I played. We had an UpFront show at Larimer Lounge. Nati and I were playing, and I was playing, is it the Nino Torres? Is that the Come Together Beatles edit? Anyways, I was playing this sick Beatles Come Together edit. And it was because it was a daytime show, so I was able to convince my parents to come. It was St. Patrick's Day daytime show.
Oh, shit, your parents
So my
were there.
parents came out. My mom and my dad came out, and like, God bless my friends, like they were taking care of them, like getting them drinks, getting them a little fucked up. Like, they were having a good time. But at one point, I have a video of it too, because I told them, not to get a video of this. But like I look over at my mom and she's front row, shades down, drink in hand, just hitting a sway. And like 2 days before that, if I would have tried to put anything with a 4 to the floor on, she'd have been like, turn this shit off.
Wow.
You know, like she just had no ear and no stomach for it. She didn't give a shit. And she saw it. And also, like, you know, my mom's seen me jump like hobby to hobby and this and that. But like to see all of this, the fruition of what we talked about, she came in at that moment and saw it and felt the groove and like fell in love with the music in that moment. And so now, like, I play it through the house. I was playing the Adam 10 Mayan Warrior at a family dinner the other day. We were just out grilling and like we're listening to Adam 10 in the backyard. So like that was a cool moment that I got to share and like see with my mom. And like she just like saw the weight of like what we're doing, friendship and community and music wise. And then like me, myself playing a track and watching my mom just fucking like
Vibe out.
catch a groove.
That's a great
Like mother,
moment.
like son.
Yeah. Brandon, what would you say yours would be?
Just like he was saying, there's so many. There's almost too many to count, but I think it was at one of the sets I had at Negroni. You know, it was actually with a good friend of mine, Santi. He runs a party called Whispers, Casa Whispers here in Miami. And
That was incredible.
it was arguably one of the best sets of my life. I mean, I've never felt energy like that from a crowd. And, you know, at Negroni, it's not the biggest of all venues, but it's a good size. They have some tables and couches where people had some bottles or whatever. But the kicker was behind me in the booth. You know, there's this little door, a little window where I'm DJing, and then they had a couch behind me, and they let all the friends come back there. So it was packed in the front, packed in the back, and I really felt like very boiler room style. I just had everyone there, and from start to finish, I mean, it was just nonstop love, appreciation for the music, happiness, good vibes, people giving me high fives, shaking my hand, giving me props. Like after that, we went to an after party and everyone still was just like, holy shit. And then besides that, which that was amazing, I think like another 10 out of 10 moment was our carnival party at Proyecto Tulum last year. I forget the exact date, but it was just something so electric. We had these masked like half naked dancers with these feathers. Like it was so trippy. It was so much fun. But again, I had all my friends behind me. I had all my friends in the crowd, and it was just one of those times where I'm playing good Afro house and like everyone was just in tune with the music. They were just it was like they were reading my mind, I was reading theirs. You know, I sway back and forth, they're swaying back and forth. My hands are up, their hands are up. It's just I brought them up, I brought them down, and they were so locked in, and feeling that kind of a connection with the crowd is something so special. It's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I'm proud that one, it was me who was doing it, and it was at our own party. It was at an UpFront event. And so that is probably one of the most special moments. And you can listen to the set on SoundCloud, even watch it on YouTube. So check it out.
Hey, amazing. Shout out. And Nati, how about yourself?
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from, man. To narrow it down to just one, I think I'd have to pick the set sail, the yacht party that we did for Music Week. That was special, man.
On the catamaran?
Yeah, no, this is the double decker, the new one, yeah. So to see it go from 40, 50 people the first year to now, I think it was 120, 130 people on that boat.
That boat was packed out.
It was raining cats and fucking dogs, man. There was a hurricane warning. Absolute madness. Setting it up. Dude, Ultra had shut down. We had literally, when we're leaving the docks, we see like all the lights turning off and people evacuating and shit. And we were like, dude, like, is this going to be okay? Are we cool? I remember Cammie, one of our good friends, a DJ that plays a lot of our shows too. She came up to me at one point. She was like, Nati, are we going to be okay? Like, is this cool? I'm actually scared right now. And I was like, yo, chill. Relax. We'll be cool. And then I turn around. I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like, but no, I mean, it was really like a culmination of like all the hard work we had put into the year. You know what I mean? We obviously had booked Peace Control a couple times at that point in Denver specifically, before they really, blew up. We also did their release party and everything too for Peru. So having them on that boat and playing and kind of introducing them to all of our friends in Miami that way as well was special. And then also that lineup was just stacked with family. You know what I mean? Like just our closest friends, absolutely tearing it up from start to finish. But yeah, I mean, like, maybe it was a bit of the fear factor of that night that made it so special for me. But like, there was a point there where, everything could kind of settle down a little bit. Everyone's, grooving and jamming. We've got like a shit ton of water just like flooding the dance floor, but nobody cared. You know what I mean? Like everybody was just going down, going crazy. And it's always, we always talk about this. There's a part of the night where you're standing, behind the decks, and you're kind of just looking out into the crowd. All the work is done. You know what I mean? There's no setup, obviously, at that point. Nobody's got any problems, no fires to put out. And you can kind of just like look at the crowd and see them enjoying themselves. I mean, real talk, like I say this all the time, people work 40 hours a week. You know what I mean? They're slaving away doing shit that they really don't want to do. And the few hours that they get with us or with any collective, really, it goes a long way for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's special. If they can really let go and dive into the music and have a good time, get silly. You know what I mean?
Silly.
Just get silly, let loose. That's what does it for me, 100%. I see the hands in the air, the smiles, the goofy dancing, the shoulder sway, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
All right, that is a fantastic moment. I remember it very clearly. Hell, there was even a proposal on that boat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was,
Oh.
man.
Shout out
Hash
Devin
and Deborah.
Hash.
Yeah, Devin
Love
Hash.
them.
Congratulations.
No,
Yep.
seriously, it was love. That's all it was. It was the friends. It was family.
That was everything.
That was incredible.
It was great. Well, this brings and wraps up the conversation nicely. So thank you guys so much for coming out here. This has been fantastic. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. It has been a pleasure to have you guys even tune in to begin with. So thank you very much. And of course, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.